Tyler Eng, welcome to the Lyle podcast. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Um, I have had another colleague on before, but it was a little bit more peripheral as somebody that I knew. I know you through a large university that we worked at together, and uh, but you and I knew you first as a student, and then as you did some more education after that. So we've gone through evolving roles, and then as a colleague, teaching in a physical therapy program. And I've really enjoyed a lot of times when we're together, it's work. We're there to teach a specific topic or lesson plans, but I've really have enjoyed just your energy and the peripheral conversations that we've had. So I'm so grateful to have you on. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on. And yeah, it's crazy. I was thinking about it yesterday that I was a student of yours 10 years ago, which is
Is that
pretty,
okay? Yeah, because I
yeah,
lose track over time. So yeah,
yeah,
okay.
which is yeah,
Mm,
I know you've been teaching for a while and you've seen, so many students at this point. But yeah, it was crazy. I was thinking, wow, it's been 10 years since my first year of PT
mm,
school, and that's where, I met you. You were one of our small group leaders, and I mean, ever since I've known you, I've had such respect for you as a
mm,
clinician and as a person. You've always been uh, a great mentor to your students, and I knew from the get-go you cared about your craft. So I've always
mm.
appreciated you, and I've been grateful to also see you on the other side of things as a colleague. But that's been really nice. So, but yeah, I'm happy to be here today and just dive deep and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna see. It's kind of like you're a bit younger. When in your generation, did like growing up, did you still have there were these kind of books that we called them choose your own adventure books? Yeah.
I did have a few of those.
Okay.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I'm a big fan of Choose Your Own Adventure in like video games, like role playing
Oh, see,
games.
there. Okay. I
So
see. Yeah.
that's more of where that kind of
Yeah.
storytelling is like where I gravitate towards.
And that makes sense. As soon as I said it, I was like, yeah, it's probably digital now. Like as soon as I said that, I was like, I think I just don't know that I didn't because like my generation, are you okay saying how old you are? I just turned 46.
Yeah, I'm I'm 32.
32, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting like that age gap because the more I taught there's times where I'd like say things to the students and then because I was there for a while, so
Mhm.
even things and you get kind of patterned and then all of a sudden I would say things that used to land and it was just like um and so this choose your own adventure is feels reminiscent of that where
Yeah.
and this happens and I remember being on the other side of it when I was younger and people were older and they were trying to so teaching actually really uh confronted me with that because I was always interacting with, because it's grad school. And so it's like people in their early 20s on average, right?
Mhm.
And then they stayed the same age, but then I started to get older and older. And so being confronted with oh my gosh, this is what it feels like when that older generation was saying something. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And actually, I don't really care. Um, and it wasn't because in their enthusiasm, it didn't matter how enthusiastic they were. It was just like it was like a missed like connection, right? Because the person was
Yeah.
really excited about it, and then in teaching, I was like, oh, that's what it feels like. I'm trying to make a connection. I'm making actually a funny joke, and and it's just it's like, oh
Yeah.
my,
Yeah, totally different like contexts that they just don't
exactly,
they have no clue about. And yeah, it would have killed like a decade ago, and now it's
yeah.
like, oh no, it's not doing so hot. But no, I think I'm starting like I'm 32, but now I'm starting to feel that like generational like divide a little bit. Like, oh, okay, like I'm not like
That's right.
25 anymore. Like, I
That's
mean, I
right.
even though I feel that way, it's like I'm not, I didn't grow up like these people did. And it's interesting when you're teaching the younger generation, like their experience growing up in our current world is like very different. So
Totally.
it's very enlightening and but yeah, I am starting to feel that now, even in my
Yeah.
early 30s.
Yeah. So I'm grateful too because I think this is because teaching, like I said, it allowed me to stay uh rooted in something even as I move more distance, and you're right now kind of a bridge between that because okay, I was educator of yours 10 years ago, and then we've gone through all these different phases, but my connection to you is still like, oh, it's like yeah, like a bridge. I'm just going to say the same thing over again. So it occurred to me and this is all coming back from these talks feel like a choose your own adventure, which
Mhm.
I guess the corollary would, but I don't even know what I would say in a video game because um, I'm like, because I don't think even like Zelda was like that. I think that was stuff like that. That was probably the precursor to,
I would actually, Zelda today is like
uh-huh.
that. They
Yeah,
actually,
right.
the
Yeah.
more recent games are more so a choose your own adventure. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. I think that genre of storytelling really blew up in the
Yeah.
last like 10, 15 years, and that's like what everyone gravitates towards because I think we love being immersed in a story that's maybe not necessarily our own, or it's a little escapism, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
which actually, I know we're talking about video games, but that actually kind of goes into a little bit some of the questions you're going to ask. So
Okay.
it might be
Okay.
a
Okay.
nice
Well,
little,
we'll just yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's get to it then. So, Tyler, how would you describe your work and vacation?
So when I was thinking about this question earlier, I thought, wow, what a great question. And also, wow, I have no idea how to answer this. This is so
Mm,
interesting because I, you know, I, as you know, I'm a physical therapist. I work with people. I help people through injury, move better and stuff. And in my world, I typically help people with running injuries. That's my specialty. I love helping runners, getting running healthy, crushing PRs, people who want to run races, stuff like that. But I thought, okay, well, what's the bigger picture? Because when you say vocation, I'm thinking like, well, that's like your true calling. I'm like, did I describe that appropriately? And I
mm,
was unsure. I was like, I don't know if that sounds like it covers everything. So, I mean, I thought about some more. I don't necessarily have maybe the best answer at this point, but I mean, I guess what I would say my vocation is right now is that I believe I'm here to just help people be happy as much as
mm,
possible, which I know that
mm-hmm,
sounds kind of like vague and nebulous. It's kind of where my head's at right now. But for me, I think when I help someone as a PT, especially my runners, and I'll talk about why running specifically, but runners like the joy that they have if I can get them to just run again or to do a race that they thought was impossible, like that feeling that they have gives me such fulfillment,
mm,
and I never get tired of it. Like it is like I'm hooked on it. I love helping people feel that way, and I think I also just understand like what it means to them because I'm a runner myself. I've had my own injuries, and I know that feeling of maybe being frustrated or lost,
mm-hmm.
especially in healthcare in our world,
Yeah.
is a tough place to navigate, and it often leaves people behind. And I feel like the work I do helps address these things that maybe don't seem like a big deal on the surface. Like when you hear somebody has a running injury, you don't think that's a life threatening injury. But that
Mm-hmm.
one injury could lead to a cascade of events that could end up changing their life for the worse in ways
Yeah.
that we can't even foresee. And that's the part where I'm trying to intervene at the top like of that funnel to prevent
Mm-hmm.
all this
Mm-hmm.
terrible stuff from happening down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gives me satisfaction. It's like, okay, I possibly played a role in stopping that timeline from happening, and I was able to get them on the timeline where things end up a lot better for them. Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess, and to me that sums up like I'm just helping them be happy and healthy, and that's what I love doing. So I guess that's the best answer I got for you for now.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that you got into this niche because you were a runner, and was it the running injuries, or was it, just like a business decision, or was it, okay, I'm a PT and why don't I do what I love, or how did you decide to get into
Mhm.
running?
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually used to hate running. I,
Uh,
I was a soccer player most of my
yeah.
life
Yeah,
growing
me
up.
too. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's how, I mean, that's how I came to PT was soccer injuries, ACLs.
same. I mean, not my
Yeah.
ACL, but like I had a lot of like recurring hip flexor strains and like a post tib issue. So, but yeah, soccer injuries and but one thing in soccer that actually happens to most of us that play is that we tend to not like running because it's often used as a punishment. So it was ingrained in my head that running is not nice, not fun. It's always painful. Who wants to do that? But when I finished college, my soccer career came to a close, and I had an identity crisis, and I was figuring out what do I do, like since that was my whole life up until that point. And during PT school, I was convinced to do a half marathon, which I thought was a terrible idea, but they convinced me to do it. I succumbed to peer pressure, and I'm so glad I did because it probably did change my life, honestly, because
Yeah.
I fell in love with running. It was just being in a race environment with people cheering people on, the support. Never been part of that before, and to do that, to run that distance for the first time was such a great feeling. I was like, whoa, I didn't know
Yeah.
I could do that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, and then, I eventually trained for the LA Marathon, which is where I actually had my first serious running injury. It was a bout of IT band pain that was
Mm.
uh, it was pretty nasty. It was pretty painful. I was having problems running more than like 2 to 3 miles without this
Yeah.
stabbing lateral knee pain, and I was like, this is my first time having like an injury like this, so I was kind of freaking out a bit. I was like, oh, what? And I had a month left till my race too, so this was like kind of do or die.
Were you a PT already at this point, or were you still a student?
I was a second year student,
Yeah.
so even
Okay.
more so, I was like a deer in the headlights. Like, what do I do? Um, but we just so happened to be going over like running mechanics in in our biomechanics course at the time. So I was
Hmm.
like, okay, like, and I talked to a few of my friends, my fellow classmates, and we tried to like put together some sort of plan. And it actually worked out really well, amazingly. I We changed a couple of my mechanics. We had a run walk progression. I worked on a couple of things with my hip abductors, and anyways, I ended up getting to the start line and I finished the marathon. And my knee wasn't didn't blow up afterwards. So, like it was a little sore, but I got through it, and that was a huge like win for me and a big turning point too, because I was like, wow, this is what I could potentially do for other people. Like
Hmm. Yeah.
I was at a point where I thought I can't run this race. Like I think it's done. And then, for a lot of people, some people would stop there forever and say like, you know what, I'm not meant to do marathons because my
Hmm.
body isn't built for it,
Right.
which we know that is not true for the vast majority of people. Um, but thankfully, yeah, I had the somewhat of the skill set, the knowledge at least. No, like no, I know we can get there. We just gotta figure a plan, and it worked out. And since then, I'm like, okay, I love running. I love this feeling of conquering these races and overcoming an injury like this. I want to share this with other people, and I love working with runners too because they are also very motivated and they love getting helped by people like us because we're not telling them to stop running or we're not telling them that running's bad for them. We're telling them the exact opposite. So it's like a perfect match. So
Hmm.
it became very fulfilling for me to work with runners, and simultaneously it works out as a good business decision because there's a lot of runners out there, and
Yes, there
a
are.
lot a
Yeah.
lot of them unfortunately get hurt. So it made sense to like move in that direction.
Hmm. Hmm. One thing I was hearing in there in your sharing of these experiences of well, how you got into running to begin with and then overcoming this injury, I hear friends as being important, even though that wasn't really highlighted in your telling of it. Um, does that feel true? And does that feel like important to when you say like help people be happy? Is that
I Yeah, actually, I think that's a great observation. Because yeah, I don't think I emphasized that part of my story enough, but that support system was very helpful and probably critical because I don't know if I could have done it on my own entirely. I might have been okay with it, but um, I mean, one of my friends in particular put out the plan for the run walk progression that we were going to do, and that was like a huge uh, part of the plan that helped a lot. And then also just having the reassurance of them, like just saying like, no, we can do this. Like let's figure it out. Which most people don't have that kind of support system, or I mean,
Right.
not
So,
they
so
don't
they were
have.
actually doing it with you. They didn't just like help with the plan. They actually executed the program with you.
Oh, they weren't necessarily running with me all the time, but they were
Okay.
like, but
Okay.
they helped. Like we sat down and talked about it
Yeah.
and like built it
Yeah.
out, and then I would like do it and then report back and be like,
Yeah.
okay, this went well. It's like, all right, sweet, let's move on to let's try this now. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was really helpful, and um, I mean, running itself is like a huge social sport too. So I think that does play into the happiness part a lot because a lot of
Yeah.
these runners who can't run because of injury suddenly lose like their whole or a big chunk of their social support if they go to like run clubs or
Yeah.
races. Um, I know people like where most of their friends are runners, and if they can't
Hmm.
run, they suddenly feel like they don't belong anymore, which
Hmm.
it's just a terrible feeling to have. So,
Yep.
uh, yeah, that social part is massive for this community. So
Hmm.
I definitely don't take that for granted. That part is always something I have to consider.
Yeah. Did you know, before we move on to the next question, I want to continue kind of down that thread a little bit more. There's more curiosities of, um, because it seemed like there wasn't, or in the telling of your story, it doesn't seem like there was a barrier to asking for help or to inviting friends into that. Does that uh, feel true to you?
Yeah, I don't think, no, I think in fact it was like my friends invited themselves to help. They were like, what can we do?
Uh,
Like,
uh-huh.
so it was quite the opposite of a barrier. It was more like they were very much open to
Yeah.
support me. And I think they were also curious too, because like they were learning about the same things I was learning. And they're like, okay, well, like we didn't have a lot of clinical experience at that time, so this was a great opportunity to learn anyway. So
You get
even
to
if
be the patient. Yeah.
yeah, so even if it didn't work out, it still would have been a good experience to like, well, let's give it a shot. Let's see what we can do.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, I love that. Well, next question. What do you think it means to live your healthiest life? Just drop that little question there.
Another bomb of a question. I was thinking about this one too, and that it's so hard to answer because there's
Yeah.
obviously so much,
It's a conversation. Yeah.
yeah, so much to go into. Um, I mean, I think what it means to live your healthiest life comes down to being ultimately happy, but I guess fulfilled. I think
Hmm.
is maybe the better descriptor. Because I think everyone wants to be happy, but I think you have to be fulfilled to be happy, which I'm not sure if everyone uh, focuses on looks at it in that sense. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
because I mean, I mean, my health right now I think is in a pretty solid place. It could always be better, but I think the reasons why I'm in a good place is because do I do a lot of things that fulfill me. Like my work itself, my I run, I exercise, I play video games. It's another thing. I spend time with my family, my friends, and now my newborn son. So I do feel that you really have to seek the things that fulfill you. But I also know there's a lot of luck that goes into it too, because I'm very fortunate that I can have my own business or I can spend time and do these sorts of things. And that's where I always think about like to live your healthiest life, there's got to be a lot of things we have to work on in macro societal level, a
Hmm.
policy level to make sure everyone has the same opportunities to find those sources of fulfillment. Because I think it's easy for me to say do what you love, but like not everyone has the capability to do that necessarily. So
Hmm.
it's I think that's what makes it hard to answer that question because it's like I think we know what needs to be done to live pretty healthy, but not everyone has the resources or the access to do it on the same
Hmm.
level.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And you're going right into some deep things there. I think maybe I'll go back to this idea of and this route, this path, this route that you're uh, suggesting, pointing towards happiness, right? Um, that instead of pursuing happiness, to pursue fulfillment. And another way you said that is to do what you love. I think in other ways you could say that is to even just know what you like, or and then feel comfortable to do what you like, which I think there are a lot of barriers that people have. And maybe it sounds like maybe that hasn't been. And you can tell me, I don't know if that feels like something you've had to overcome. Does it feel like you've had to wrestle with how do I know what I like, or is it okay for me? Because some people will feel like, oh, disconnected from what they like, or they might know what they like or love, but feel like these barriers. And I don't even mean like it could still be that they have um, physical resources or things like that, but they don't feel the personal agency to do that, which comes, I think, through experiences, maybe familial or organizational or societal things that
Hmm.
can um, I'm hinting towards a question, but I think one of the things I wanted to say there was to me that seems I resonate with this idea that I was probably around your age when I was thinking about happiness, and I was thinking of it in terms of balance. That um, I really wanted my life to be in balance, and it was just felt like, oh, and then somebody older than me was like, ha ha ha, balance, what are you, that's crazy. That's not it. You just gotta go for the things. And I was just like, what are you talking about? You're just blowing up my framework if I'm really to consider that and think, allow my brain to go to the place of like, you saying this, is that true? And it really, and I'm just going to try to go fast, and there's gaps in this, but that led me to thinking about happiness. That because this person was saying basically, you don't find balance by pursuing balance, you find balance by pursuing your values. And I think that's akin to what you're saying here with, in that, like, when I was your age, I just thought about it and I was like, I think that's it. I don't think you pursue happiness. I think, yeah, you have to pursue your values. And then that in turn leads to happiness. That happiness is not a target, it's a byproduct, right? And that
Hmm.
it's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like, um, and if I stick with that analogy, what does that even mean? It's probably like if you're not even, without going into the Irish or things like leprechauns and things like that. If we just say like the rainbow, like the pot of gold is probably like just even experiencing the rainbow, right? If you're just like chasing the rainbow for this thing that's going to be like a mirage at the end, you've missed this whole like uh tremendous experience. So um yeah, that seems right to me anyway. About like the fulfillment and but I think so. One of the questions I would ask then, I think coming back to some of those seeds I dropped in there and related to what you're talking about differences of people's ability to experience that. Let's just go into that a little bit of what are some of the things that you perceive as being challenges to um, people doing what they love, knowing what they love. Um, so, and if I can offer one more question in that, and then kind of what's our responsibility? Because we have individual responsibility, but then you're suggesting here that there's other responsibility as well.
Good questions. Let me just processing that a little bit. So I
Hmm.
guess where I would start, I guess the actual first part you want to know is more so like what are the actual challenges that I think people
Hmm.
are facing to finding those, pursuing their values or achieving fulfillment. I mean, maybe I'll focus to keep it like more focused. Maybe I'll talk about my runners a little bit because I think they're an
Yeah.
easy place to kind of describe maybe how they have challenges. And it's not necessarily challenges of like, um, well, it's not necessarily just like a good rehab program and stuff like that. It's like finding places to run, like in their
Hmm.
neighborhood that are safe,
Hmm.
or are healthy. Um, Finding a community that they can run in, because that's a big part of it too. If they're
Hmm.
isolated, they don't have access to that community, which makes it harder to get their running in. And then, like, of course, there's, certain financial barriers too. Like, I mean, thankfully, running is like probably the most affordable sport on earth, I think. I
Hmm.
can't think of one that's much cheaper. I mean, you really just need one pair of shoes. It doesn't even have to be expensive, and you just go outside and run, which is great. So, as far as most sports go, it is incredibly economical, which is why I like it so much,
Hmm.
is that it
Hmm.
takes away that barrier
Hmm.
to access the sports and access this great form of exercise that can help you with all these health related issues. So that's a huge reason why I like running is that it is
Hmm. Yeah.
very accessible.
Yeah.
That being said, even running has its own
Yeah.
limitations as far as accessibility, and I think it gets even tougher more recently just with like climate change,
Hmm.
and uh, just running safety, especially for the women out there who run. And these are barriers that I don't think people think like, oh, why you're a PT? Like, does that? Why is that your concern? It's like, I mean, it's everything. Like, I can't. None of what I provide for my people matters unless these like bigger systemic things are addressed. Like, I literally had clients or people I coached in LA during the fires, and
Hmm.
they literally can't run outside. The air is toxic.
Hmm.
Like they were out for like a week or something or plus, and then I knew people who lost their homes because of that. So
Hmm.
that's like a very tangible example of how like climate change can like really disrupt our ability to pursue things that we love like running that helps our health and stuff like that. So those are those are some big picture stuff that I am always mindful of. But then I guess go zooming in more on like how we deliver our healthcare to this community too is that I think traditional healthcare, I guess, like if you go see your primary care provider, no, with all due respect to that group of people, they're not exactly trained to help guide these runners maybe back to where they want to be. Like some are, but I think it's safe to say I know I don't like generalizations, but like I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel confident saying that most primary care providers don't provide maybe the most evidence-based like support for runners all the time. Um, and that's a huge problem because then these people get misinformed, they get scared, and then they go down a rabbit hole where they may never run the same or ever again because they fear that for their health and they think it's going to be bad for them when the opposite is true. And
Hmm.
so that's where I try to come in to try to provide better information, better support, and maybe more context to some of the primary care's answers. Because sometimes they give an answer that makes sense, but like they don't understand the context. When they say,
Hmm.
we want you to rest 6 weeks, it's like,
Yeah. What is rest?
what is rest? What do you mean by
Yeah.
rest? You
Yeah.
mean should I be
Yeah.
bed bound? Like should I
Yeah.
walk? Like
Right. Yeah.
should I go play basketball? Like what does that mean? So I am really trying to provide just a service that really provides the best level of support in healthcare for runners that gives them the access they need to information as quickly, as efficiently as possible so they can go out and live and run their best lives. Um, so yeah, there's like, so I look at all those variables, those barriers from the levels that I can control directly to also these bigger ones that require more societal efforts to
Hmm.
change, which um, yeah, I think about those ones more a little bit lately because I think they're starting to become more tangible, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So yeah, those are the big ones that come to mind.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Um, yeah, and there, yeah, I appreciate that because now I'm processing what you said, and I'm appreciating that, and even we talk, and even bringing up something like climate change and um, yeah, just how we're seeing so many more crises, and then we're like feeling the summation of those. Um, and we haven't said the word yet, but I'm going to say it now. It's just like the trauma, that comes into our system if you like for somebody that's lost a home or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and then just the trickle out from that, and then uh, and we have all different kinds of trauma, but the more we have, yeah, just as things get turned up a little bit and different. So yeah, with climate catastrophes and crises being one of those, and knowing that, oh, that's just kind of one kind of column versus economic hardships due to instability, or the COVID pandemic and these kind of things, or just rising healthcare um, expenses and decreased time spent with patients, or things like you could really, really just go into that. So I appreciate you kind of touching on that, and my brain's going in there, but I'm gonna keep us moving along. And so uh, we're gonna bring it a little bit back, kind of a little bit more personal. So what's something that, or what are things that you are currently learning about living your healthiest life?
Oh man, that's a good question because right
You said you have,
now,
yeah, mm-hmm.
I yes, because I mentioned before,
You're
I have an infant. He's
you're a dad
almost
now,
I'm a
yeah,
dad.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
So that yeah, what I'm currently learning, I mean, is just trying to navigate being a parent and doing all the things that I did well before being a parent, and now trying to
Mm-hmm.
fit it in a world where I am a parent, which is uh, definitely a tough task. It is not easy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel all things considered, I am doing a pretty fair job, and I think, well, the reason for that is because I'm fortunate enough to have my own business, and I had planned this business ahead of time, anticipating the arrival of kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
Growing a family, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I was able to kind of structure things and build systems where I don't have to be in my business 40 hours a week. I can run everything within 20 to 25 hours and spend a lot of other time with my son doing childcare and other stuff. So um, but even then, it is tough because trying to just make the time to obviously like take care of yourself, take care of the kiddo, um, do all the fun things I mentioned before, like things that fulfill me. Like that's tougher when time has now been crunched um, very tightly. But at the same time, I feel like pressure makes diamonds, and I truly believe in the last 6 months, like I am becoming more efficient. I'm becoming better at navigating these challenges in life and work and everything in between, and it's making me, yeah, figure things out that I probably would never have figured out before being a parent. Um,
Mhm.
and and now I'm even more motivated than ever to be as healthy as possible because I got this little one, and
Yeah.
I know he needs me. He needs me for a
Hmm.
long time. So I'm going to make
Hmm.
sure I'm around for a long time, and I'm going to be healthy and strong for, as long as possible. I want to be the fit dad that will kick his butt for a long time. He will have to.
Motivate him to rise up to that
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah,
Yeah, is
yeah.
that
I'm a competitor, and
uh
I I will. probably instill some of that competition in my son, whether I want to or not, and I will make sure that he will earn his win against me when he comes of age. Whatever, if he plays soccer or running or
Yeah,
whatever it is,
yeah,
if he
yeah.
beats me, he's going to earn it, and it will be the proudest day of my life. I'll be so happy when he does defeat me. But yeah, no, I want to make sure that I do stay fit and healthy
Hmm.
for him because
Hmm.
yeah, I mean that's gonna help with everything in his life if I'm around, if I can do things for
Hmm.
him, not be a burden. And I know that's not easy, and it's tough for some parents to do that because they don't have maybe the resources or the access to the stuff I have
Right.
to live that healthy life, which I'm always thinking about. Like that motivates me more to like serve my
Mm.
runners, and now more so my running parents, because I do have parents on my roster too, and I empathize with them more than ever now that I am a
Mm.
parent. So like I really want to make sure those people are taken care of because they need it probably more so than anyone else because they take care of their kids so much. Somebody needs to take care of them.
Hmm.
So that is definitely the biggest learning curve for me right now, and it's always changing because the kid is growing and evolving. So
Yeah. He was
when
born this spring, is that right? Or
a little
how old is he?
January. He was born in
January.
January, so
Okay.
yeah, he's gonna be 6 months, in a couple days actually. So it's crazy. He's already like a half year old, and um,
Amazing.
he's yeah hitting lots of milestones like every
Yeah.
week, and it's really fun to watch. Um, but yeah, it's a constantly evolving game. So like it's a new level, new devil situation. You always got to find
Level a new devil.
yeah new
Yeah.
challenges.
Uh-huh.
But it's a fun game. I'm glad to be in it with him.
Uh-huh. Uh, that's amazing. When I'm curious if if for the listeners, you know, you and I as PTs, there's things implied, and we went a little bit PT lingo. Sorry about that earlier. We were like dropping ACLs and talking about lateral and things like that. But with to listeners that maybe they're not physical therapists, right? They're not, when you say healthy and you're trying to level up for all these various reasons, what are these what are these things that you're doing? Or what were these things that were good at before that you're carrying forward, like to be healthy?
I mean, lots of things, but I mean the easiest part for me is honestly the exercise side, just
Hmm.
because I've done it my whole life. Like
Hmm.
I've been an athlete my whole life, so some people might find that the hardest part. For me, it's the easiest because it's a lot of what I know. I know how to
Hmm.
train. Um, I I run right now. I'm training almost every day. I get like at least a run 4 5 days a week. I'm strength training 3 days a week. I'm trying to implement different kinds of training as well, more power plyometric training to hit all the aspects of my physical health that I know are important as we age, especially, I'm thinking long term, like muscle loss,
Hmm.
bone loss, stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
so if we even slow that down just a little bit, because I don't have PTs on here all the time, and so if we wanted to give like a little bit of that
yeah.
knowledge, so strengthening 3 days a week, are you like that's whole body, or just because you're a runner, you're like legs, or like what is that?
I do
Just
full, yeah,
yeah.
I do full body just because I'm training for life as well, not just
Hmm.
running. So I do a lot of barbell work, a lot of
Hmm.
powerlifting style training. So like, your squats, bench, deadlift,
Hmm.
some other accessory movements as well, with dumbbells and bands and all that stuff. A lot of jumping, hops,
Hmm. Yeah, because you
maintenance.
said power and plyometrics. So if you were to give kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like a quick breakdown of what that looks like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, pretty
Or
simple.
meaning, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like so, like just lots of like bouncing, jumping, bounding, skipping. It is a bunch of high, quick movements that I think we often neglect as we enter adulthood. We're good at it as kids, but
Yeah, because we
um,
play, right? When
yeah, we
yeah.
exactly, yeah, we play, but we lose that I think pretty quickly in adulthood. But then it becomes more noticeable as we age because that loss of power happens dramatically, especially if you don't practice jumping, hopping, skipping, um, which could affect your bone health tremendously, and that can lead to really bad things down the road to our health, particularly with like fractures and falls. So people out there listening, you might know a parent or a grandparent who maybe had a fall, injured themselves pretty badly, had to be hospitalized, or I mean, in the worst case scenario, it can be fatal. So like those are things that are preventable, but they require a lot of
Hmm.
groundwork early
Hmm.
in life to
Hmm.
prevent that. So
Yeah.
I'm very forward thinking in that way with my training. I'm
Hmm.
like thinking the next not just
Yeah.
10 years, I'm thinking 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Like
Yep.
I want to be the 90-year-old guy who's like doing
Yeah.
some sort of track meet and I'm doing like a 100-meter dash with a bunch of other 70-year-olds, young 70-year-olds and I'm gonna
Yeah.
and
Yeah. The world record for
yeah, and
or state record. Yeah.
I'll be the 90-year-old guy like showing up to go, beat them. So
Yeah.
that's my like my dream
Your
like
mentality. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
just saw there's some Indian fellow, and I'm sure as a runner you probably knew of him. I just saw him on the gram, and he's like 117 or something, and he ran his last marathon like at age 101 or something, and he just passed away. So yeah, and I totally agree with that, and I think that's not something that our US society has equipped us for, right? Is even
Hmm.
something as basic as knowing how to strengthen appropriately is something that most people don't know how to do. But then also this uh, phrase that I embody as well, this training for life. So when thinking about, well, how do you shape what you're going to do, you have to almost reverse engineer it. You got to envision your life long term, what you want to be able to do, and then even in the short term. Okay, so short term, oh, I have this running target. The long term, well, I have this kid, and I'm gonna, you know, I want to be so fit that he has to work pretty hard, for a while, like whatever we're doing, a race or soccer, or when they have kids, and they're my grandkids, and I to be able to lift them up and play. And you're very, yeah, I can see that like sports minded. You're still like on the track, like those kind of targets. But I think even just like for the everyday person that maybe running's not their thing, right? But like what if your grandkid is getting chased by like a dog or like a car is coming, and like do you have like that speed and resiliency to
Hmm.
in reaction time and balance to be able to like intervene, to save that grandchild um, or to navigate balance challenges. Just and you might not even live in a cold climate. Maybe you do, but you go to Colorado or something on a ski vacation, and there's like some ice around, and what's like your balance kind of response, and by having that variety within your regular routine, you're mitigating so much of that likelihood of an injury happening, like even to begin with, and then even the severity of it. So thank you for going into that a little bit. So exercise is easy, and also saying, because you have that habit, and you're even saying another principle, which is just like the sooner you can develop a habit, the more reinforced it
Hmm.
is. And so um, not waiting until you feel like you feel the deficit, or somebody tells
Hmm.
you, oh, your bone density is dropped or things like that, but having those habits.
Hmm.
Uh, so run, strength training, anything else exercisey that you're,
That's most of
that's
it
it.
for now.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I probably will do other things too to like spice it up, other sports. I'll probably go
Hmm.
back to soccer a little bit. Um, but that's my main focus in training. That covers all my bases and for
Okay.
now.
Okay.
I probably will start to train for like bigger runs in the future. Um, but I mean that outside of exercise, I think is where I maybe I'm challenged a little bit more.
Hmm.
Um, I think nutritionally, I could always do better. I'm working with nutritionist a little bit on the side. Um, but I have my family has a history of like high cholesterol.
Hmm.
I drew the genetic card for like easy to have high LDL by just like smelling
Yeah.
food,
Okay.
and then it's
And
like
I'm
cholesterol
just
goes up.
gonna just pause for a second. Just so LDL is a low density cholesterol. That's the stuff
Yeah,
that takes up a lot of space in your
the bad
bloodstream.
bad
It's the bad
cholesterol.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So I just eating eating better for me
Hmm.
is something that I've been actually actively working on. And another thing that's hard for a lot of people to do is access to food. And I'm learning more about that too as I go through my own journey, because one thing I discovered in my kind of own workup is that I don't have enough fiber in my diet. Like I am
Yeah.
surprised, and I thought I got a decent enough. Like I thought intuitively I did, but when I actually started tracking it was way lower than I thought it was.
Mm.
And there's some good research out there showing how even modest fiber increases can help with cholesterol. So that's where I've been trying to focus a lot of my effort. But it's surprisingly tough. I gotta admit, like
Hmm.
it's hard to
Hmm.
find. It's not just to get the foods, but like to eat enough of the fiber. Like it's been interesting. I've been really
Hmm.
it's been eye opening. So I'm actively working on that
Hmm.
part.
Like you're not a veggie guy, or just within that?
Well, no, I like veggies. I just
Uh-huh.
like I guess to eat enough to meet my fiber needs
Uh-huh.
is like it's a lot of veggies.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
um for because I got some metabolic testing done too, and I I burn like 2,800 calories a day without exercise. So like
Oh,
I
that's a lot
yeah,
of it keeps you busy.
yeah. So I think the challenge for me personally is this: I
Hmm.
have to eat a
Hmm.
higher amount per day to meet my calorie needs, and because of that, I need more fiber, which is tough for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that makes me I'm just more aware of like other people have food challenges too, and then way tougher
Yeah.
ones than what I'm dealing with. So it makes me more empathetic to
Hmm.
just food food scarcity, access to food,
Hmm.
stuff like that. That's really critical to health. And that kind of comes back to like the big policy stuff, like not just climate change, but well, climate change does affect our food supply, but like just food policy in general. Um, so that's been a big thing I'm working on. And then the other thing I think is just my social life, um,
Mm.
which is I think the neglected part, maybe the most neglected part of healthcare. Maybe. I don't know. I just don't hear people talk about that as much as exercise and food and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I am making more concerted efforts to stay social, stay connected with my friends and family, especially my friends who don't live near me, which I think is
Hmm.
so easy to lose touch with people. Like it's really crazy how easy it can happen. So I've been making much more efforts to like call people, text people, even a little something just to like stay connected, or like hit up a friend who like let's meet up for coffee or whatever it is. And I'll bring the kid now. So now I got the kid
Yeah.
to like we can hang out, go through a park or something, or go to a brewery, or, whatever it is. So um, that's something that I think now that I'm a new parent too, I really have to focus on that social part a lot, because
Hmm.
that I know that will fall to the wayside easily if I let it happen. And
Hmm.
and I know other parents who unfortunately that happens, and it's not great for them
Hmm.
or their relationships or their happiness.
Hmm. Yeah, and it seems like there's like how US culture is set up, we're kind of set up to be like to have this mindset of this autonomy, and we have our own houses, and we have this buffer of space, and a lot of people, there's a transient nature too. Like there's not a lot of uh I think there's less staying in one spot, than there is like this, people will move places for jobs and things like that. And so where you're talking about like the distance that starts to happen when you age, that can definitely make it challenge. I'm thinking of this. Are you aware of this? There's like a Harvard study. I don't know when it was published. It's not a new publication, but it followed people for like 70 years. And it was just looking at so it's retrospective, meaning, just looking, it's just gathering information on them and then seeing their health and like measuring their health metrics as it pertains to just like what happened in their life. And like social, like the key determinant of like their health was their social life. That's what was like what the study found out. And there is so much talk of just loneliness and isolation, and that even breeding a lot of like the social problems that we have that
Mhm.
are accelerated because of that. So that yeah, like can I most neglected part of healthcare. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Do
I
you
don't have the stats to say anything to you, but that seems like, yeah.
do you think? Sorry, I know you're the one asking the questions today,
Yeah, how dare you? I think, what
but
are you about to?
well, I'm just no, I'm just curious on your thoughts because like that's just obviously that's my opinion. I don't have hard evidence on that either,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm curious, is there anything that comes to your mind where you're like, this is the most neglected part of healthcare that
Oh,
we really
yeah.
are, that we're really missing we're missing the mark on?
Um, I think, well, my brain makes connections, so it feels very related to what you said. I don't see it as, but I might verbalize it in the sense of integration. I think that's the biggest thing is that we pretend, like as a physical therapist, that I can get you healthy by talking just solely about strengthening and uh, like a mobility routine and are you getting enough cardio and like these uh, how's your coordination and these type things. So I think of, and I'm just going to say it a little differently just because we're having a conversation in front of people, but the biopsychosocial model that was presented to us in our education. Um, I think like healthcare is so siloed. Oh, here's your mental health provider. Oh, here's the person that deals with your medication. So here's the person that's your nutritionist. Like that, that it's the person that is your primary care provider isn't the person that can even teach you about how to have a healthy movement system or can't teach you how to like eat healthily or to have healthy lifestyle habits. So to me, I think in my, yeah, because I'm coming up in 20 years, like integration is the biggest thing. And even when I think about success in helping people live more healthily, in my uh, with the patients and clients I work with, it is really like, oh, like I have to see this person as a whole, and the more information I can have about them as a whole, instead of like maybe I was just taught to, and sorry, I said I was going to say it differently, but so the biopsychosocial model is like the biology, this you think of a person, if you were to have a construct of them or a way of thinking about them, you could think about their biology, their muscles and their tendons and their heart and things like that, their actual cells, and then the psychology, like the beliefs that you have, and then um, the social support, like what are the cultural beliefs and all. I think in healthcare, these things are still very separate. I think it's not integrated. And I think there should also be a sphere for spiritual when we talk about fulfillment, I think where is that? I think on an even individual level, not on a cultural level, even cultural might influence like what you believe like your purpose is, but really ultimately still within the individual is like that, like what do you think life's about, that I think really dictates your well-being and what your values are and how you make decisions. So to me, like if I'm going to help somebody move along on the continuum of health, I have to just even see what their beliefs are. And that wasn't even something that really my physical therapy training even really particularly trained me to do that. Like I have to see their level of understanding or what their beliefs are about things and changing habits. And if you're going to change habits, habit formation is influenced by so many things. It's influenced by, yeah, people's trauma and histories and things like that. Things like autoimmune diseases um, are often caused by like trauma and things like that. So that's a little bit of a, opening a Pandora's can of, you asked that question. That's something I think a lot about. But that's some of how it's hard to even frame it small. The smallest way I would say would just be integration. I think we compartmentalize ourselves and try to pretend like certain experiences or things that are happening in the world or the well-being of other people or any of these kind of things, trying to pretend like that doesn't impact us.
No, I agree with that. That's honestly pretty spot on because I think it's funny. I think in our education, or at least for me, I remember we were always taught like, yeah, we don't want to work in silos. We want to like be part of the healthcare team. And I'm like, well,
Hmm.
when does that actually happen? When does
Hmm.
where does that happen? Like, it's hard. There's very few like institutions where integration is really like executed um, on a regular basis. Not just like, oh, we meet once a year, like, or yeah, once a
Hmm.
quarter. It's like, no, are we regularly communicating, collaborating, stuff like that? And then if you have like outpatient clinicians, people who don't work part of a big hospital or school, then it's even harder to do that. It's
Hmm.
like you got no one, you got to reach out to people, and then you're lucky if you hear back. So
Yeah,
it is,
yeah,
yeah, it's, yeah, yeah, that's a good one. That's a
yeah,
good challenge,
yeah,
frustrating challenge, but
yeah.
definitely, yeah, I know I have to think of ways like how even I, as like a solopreneur, like how I can do a better job at that because I have my own
Hmm.
networks, but obviously it's not like we're not collaborating constantly. Um, Although I will say, I think that some of the best people I've collaborated with are uh, other are coaches, strength
Mm, yeah.
coaches.
Hmm.
Um, I think because they are so open to working with other people for some reason. Like in the culture there, they are like always down to collaborate. Like I've had such good
Hmm.
experiences. Like if I had an athlete come from somewhere and they had a coach, like I hit them up and they're like, "Awesome, tell me like what can we do?" Um,
Hmm.
So I would love to see that kind of
Yeah,
enthusiasm from like other people in the healthcare sphere.
yeah, yeah. I think I would contribute one more thing to that, just to even clarify my thoughts about it, because I think still the framing, because we can have the framing of as a healthcare provider or somebody that's there to be a resource for people's healthcare, or whether it's a volunteer or paid position, right? Whether you're a provider. And so our is ability to collaborate with colleagues and communicate and share resources. I think that's one level, but that doesn't encompass what I mean, because I think ultimately, if you're going to be healthy, the individual needs
Mhm.
to know that they're integrated. The individual needs to be integrated.
Mm,
And so that brings a lot of resources more there, because that's patient agency, that's
mhm,
patient, there's things that people, like I help people with chronic pain a lot. And if I'm going to help them get better, they can't just put their healthcare, or it can't even be prioritized towards outside of them,
mhm,
right? There has to be this knowledge and belief that we are really great custodians, like, of our health, and that the individual accesses so many keys that other people can't. So I could try to help somebody relax some pain somewhere in their body or a muscle, that is maybe painful. But if that pain is being held because of like a prior trauma, or a fear even of, and the trauma could be fully a sports injury, right? It could be just as simple as that, or it could be something that happened in their childhood or from like a spouse, or something like that. But these kind of things, people even within themselves will silo. This is who I am when I'm at work. Here's where I am when I'm with my
Hmm.
friends. Here I am when I'm at home. Um, here's, or even in different social settings, or saying that memories don't, or experiences we had don't matter. So that to me is also really, and almost even more important than the collegial, oh, have a patient,
Hmm.
everybody weigh in on that. That's like not scalable, right? That's not, we don't have the resources to get 10 people together to talk about like the best way
Hmm.
to help somebody get better. But if people can, so I think there just needs, so integration, a lot of that just needs to come from educating people, giving them basic resources and knowledge about what's capable within their body. And then those of us that are healthcare providers in whatever role can um, step alongside them and
Hmm.
give them, if so, that's a little bit that I would clarify of when I.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, that's even deeper
Yeah.
than I was initially thinking. So, no, I mean that makes sense because I think even in my own life, I separate my identities. I think sometimes
Hmm.
where it's like I need to think of it maybe more as a whole because
Hmm.
they don't act independently. They they influence one another. My
Correct.
my work persona, my
Hmm.
husband persona,
Hmm.
father persona, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm gonna ponder that one for a little bit. That's
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and we can talk offline about that ad nauseam. I'd be happy to. I think even as healthcare providers, in order for us to help most to multiply like what our assets are and our resources are and our capabilities is we have to be integrated. So the more disintegrated we are, like we're lacking a human connection to the potential of what it could be. But you asked the question, so we went there. But and I
I
and I appreciate
appreciate
it,
that.
and I love talking about it. But I feel a little bit like, um, yeah, and I do feel very passionately about those things. But it's a hard thing to articulate because it is there's a gap between. I experience that a lot, even in healthcare, even talking to other colleagues and things. When I approach this and try to say
Mhm.
this, there's lots of like blank stares and like, ooh, and okay, when can we just come back and talk about biomechanics or like schedules or like stuff like that? Like I don't,
Let's talk about torque.
yeah.
Love torque. That makes more sense.
Right, like something, yeah. And especially, like we met in an academic institution. So in academic institutions, are notoriously just people that are disembodied, right? They're just kind of like people that walk around like in their head. So yeah, so I think like some ways you can break that down is like head, heart, gut. They're all different
Hmm.
kind of frameworks. So are you in your head? Can you think rationally and make good decisions and um, have intellectual capacity? Um, Gut is like intuition, and do you know like when to kind of trust that? You can talk about things even with diet, like intuitive eating. Like, does
Hmm.
your body? And I've had the experiences where my body tells me I need more fiber. Like my body tells me I need more protein. It's telling me to eat a salad. It's telling me to stop eating, the ho-hos or the whatever. I picked something that I don't eat, but and then the heart, like emotions, right? So the heart, like, are we connected with our emotions? And uh, anyway, so we're just gonna have to do a hard break because once you hit play on that button, it's hard for me to stop. You
No
kind of wind,
worries.
wind me up.
I appreciate
Um,
it.
we've kind of gotten into it a bit already with things that we wished other people know. But what's something you wish people knew more about living their healthiest life?
I think it really does take. I think it does take a lot of like intentional like effort to
Yeah,
live your healthiest life. It doesn't just happen. You
yeah,
can't just like wait till X amount of time goes by, or like, oh, I'll wait till, oh, when my son's 5 years old, I'll be able to have the time to do all those things
Hmm.
I want to do. Let me just wait till
Correct.
then.
Correct.
Or, or I'll wait till that job promotion, or, I'll get to that certain level of even financial stability. I think we're always like kicking the can down the road, be like, we'll get there eventually. We got time, until you don't have time. And then it suddenly becomes a different story, which I think is something that we, as PTs we've seen that situation happen played out, where we come across
Yeah.
somebody they're at that crossroad. It's like, I spent my whole life working, grinding to the bone, maybe got very successful, but
Yeah.
now I am struggling to live my life because of my health.
Yeah.
Um, and now they're at a place where, like, wow, maybe that wasn't the right way to go about it. But they're at a point where it's tough to turn things around. It might not impossible, but you're not doing yourself any favors by, delaying your health. So I mean, I think it's just, it really is. It takes effort. It takes intention. You got to really, like, if you want to be healthy, you got to pursue it. You got to, in any way you can. Not to say you have to be perfect. Not to say that you're going to be successful all the time. It's okay. Like, none of us have it figured out. Nobody. That's the other thing I want people to know. No one knows what they're doing. Like, um, which I think is really important to know today, because of all the misinformation out there online, on social media, that there's all these people promoting health gimmicks, quick fixes,
Yeah.
um, because everyone wants that quick fix, right? We're all like, oh, I'm struggling. Like, what can I do? It's like, well, here's the secret. I got the secret for you.
I
Um,
know. It's
and I,
the pink Himalayan salt right now or something. I'm
yeah,
hearing
yeah,
all these ads.
it's always something, and it's something you can buy, and it's like,
Mhm.
people think they could just buy their way into health, and unfortunately, it's not that easy, even though we wish it was. But I feel like if people really want to be healthy, they do have to just focus on the basic things, just moving more, sleeping more, eating decent. Like, people know what good food is and from a macro view, like, they know that they need vegetables and fruit and protein, stuff like that. But it's hard to execute. It's hard to do the simple things. So making sure you are like, okay, I'm going to go in. If I want to be healthy, I'm going to focus on doing things that help with that. I'm going to make the time to go out and walk every day. So, I mean,
Mhm.
that is like a huge step for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Or just, I'm going to eat an extra serving of veggies at dinner every night, something simple like that. Or I'm going to go to bed, put my phone away an hour or 30, even 30 minutes before bed, do something else, read to your kid. I've been doing that a lot more lately, just reading little cardboard books to my son as he kind of stares and is taking it all in. But those are the things that I just wish people would know, that you don't need to listen to all the gimmicks, because 99 out of 100 times they are not going to help you the way you think they are. Um, and it's being healthy is simple. It's just hard to do. Simple but hard. So just make the time to put in the work, and don't be frustrated. We're all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. That's like a good a good pep talk there for, like uh simple but hard. You need to be intentional. You need to be consistent. I think you did such a great job of saying it in so many different ways that it is yeah, I think the biggest things that are coming through are the intention, the effort, the consistency, um, and I think implied there is the payoff, right? If you do these things, it's gonna happen. Like small steps make a difference. They add up, right? Those little things that we do, and that seems to be, yeah, I think that's great advice. And I think even so, again, if we go back to how our conversation started, we talked a little bit about our age difference, and if I can share a little bit of my story so I'm 46 now, and I recently have gotten back into running. I had some kneecap pain, some patellofemoral pain that was annoying, and my view of that was like, so I really cut back and I even kind of stopped running for a while and for years even. And I tried and I was working on things to get back to it all with the end. So I had a long game. I'm going to get back to it. And I'm finally
Mhm.
there, I'm due to do 15 miles this weekend in the mountains. So yeah, I know, right?
Nice.
And finally, but when I was 40, and this was about 5 years ago, I was running like this high mileage preceding this. But this is pandemic happened and kind of put a squash on like traveling and doing all these things. And all of a sudden, my cholesterol, which my HDL is always high, so the good cholesterol is always high, but that puts you higher up on the total cholesterol. And that hadn't been really a problem. And then I was hovering, so 200 is like the cutoff. And I was hovering around 200 at my annual checkup for years. And then all of a sudden, I was like 40 or 41, something like that. And then it was 211. And I was like, okay, if I zoom back on it, it's like it was okay, okay, but the overall trajectory is that it's rising kind of year over
Mhm.
year. And this is me. And also, I'm like not so into doing cardio anymore, Whereas when I was younger, I would just decide one day and be like, oh, I'm gonna go like run around that lake. I lived in Wisconsin, and like that lake that I decided to run around was like a half marathon, just like 25, and I'm like, I'm gonna run that. So it went from like, oh, ultimate frisbee, soccer, biking, like all these things that you do when you're younger, all of a sudden to like I'm
Mhm.
40 and I didn't want to work out, and I just couldn't visualize my like things going down. And
Mhm.
it's kind of this process. So what I'm trying to say, that's the backstory of saying all of a sudden things where, because I relate a lot to you, just oh, exercise and it was easy. And all of a sudden I reached 40 and I was like, for I don't know, whatever reasons, I described some societal ones that happened circumstantially that didn't have me out and about as much. But I think there's all kind of reasons that, and who knows, maybe metabolically or, just what's happening in my life, as a woman, I hormonally, I have no idea. But I had to start and make a commitment that I'm going to do 20 minutes of cardio every day. And it doesn't matter what it is. And then it had to be more like I'm going to brush my teeth every day, instead of
Mhm.
something that was naturally more easy to me because I enjoyed movement, all of a sudden it became much more like there was this barrier to entry that I had to get over. And with the cholesterol and these other things, I was like, I'm going to do dietary stuff. And I grew up in Wisconsin. So, I mean, I was like, even in California here, I was like, me and my partner, it was like a pound of cheese a week, like a gallon of milk a week, plus like
Yeah,
ice
yeah.
cream and butter and all these things. It was like my mom grew up on a dairy farm. It's like in my blood. I was like, grew up just with, and then all of a sudden I went, cut out eggs, cut out like this dairy. And now I look at and even before I was doing all this running, and my cholesterol is like top notch, right? It's like, but there's been an effort to it. Like there's all these changes
Mhm.
that I had to make. And sometimes they come from when we're lacking motivation. I think like I think the best success is just like something you're like, I could do that, right? Just setting yourself
Yeah.
up for success because it's hard.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have life stuff that helps us with that, like those really hard pushes. Sometimes we need those like wake up calls. Like for me, it was like, oh, my cholesterol going up like that. And then I was like, and that helped me get over because I was like, I'm never giving up cheese. How could I not have dairy in my life? And then knowing kind of like what that meant and like healthcare wise and that trajectory and like what my values were. Oh, I want to be healthy. Then I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna learn how to make like vegan cheese and stuff, cashew cheese and um, which is all you find things and it's delicious and it's great and it doesn't feel like things are going on. But um, thank you for that. Um, the last question to help bring us home, and I'm really curious about this. What is something from your cultural or ethnic background that you feel helps you live your healthiest life?
That's a good question. And when I heard that question the first time, I was like, that's again, never thought of that about that before. But um, I mean, I guess like I just to give a little context of my background is I'm of mixed descent. I come from a Chinese and Italian background, so a little mix of both. My Italian side, they immigrated to the States a long time ago. My mom is like I want to say like second, maybe third generation. So they're quite Americanized, but she was part of she was an Air Force family, so they like traveled
Mm,
all over the place. My dad, his family came from China, moved to Hong Kong, and then moved from Hong Kong to the U.S. Moved to a few places, but ended up in Sebastopol in San
mm,
Francisco. But one thing I think both came from both backgrounds. It's just kind of I think like just the work ethic that comes
mm,
from being in both of those families. One like an Air Force family that travels a lot. Worked like my grandpa worked hard. My both my grandparents worked hard. My mom worked hard when she started her own business with my dad, and my dad's parents started a restaurant. They grinded super
mm,
hard. Coming
mm-hmm,
from Hong Kong was a pretty big step for them and very challenging in so many ways. But yeah, work ethic was huge. And I think that just came down to passed down to my parents, who they became entrepreneurs themselves, which is kind of what inspired me to
oh
become
yeah,
my own
mm-hmm,
my own entrepreneurial adventure. Um, and that work ethic, I think, like we were talking about before, if you want to be healthy, you have to put in the work for it. You have to make the intentional efforts. And I think that ability to the work ethic I was able to train up, because I think work ethic is something you gotta like train it in itself. Like you have to build a tolerance
mm,
to it.
mm-hmm,
It's not like you can
mm-hmm,
say I'm gonna have good work ethic. It's like you kind of have to practice it.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
and I think my parents helped me practice that a lot with school, with sports, just just getting used to working hard and getting kind of like comfortable with being uncomfortable. Um,
mm,
because that skill set really helps me take on any challenge in life, whether it's my own health, it's running, it's uh working out, strengthening my relationship with my wife, or becoming a father. The fatherhood is there's some tough days. I mean,
next
like
level.
next level. I mean, a lot of sleepless nights and some crying and like you're like, well, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? So being able to, I think because I and have had a lot of experience being in like uncomfortable, I'm able to tolerate it better than I think someone who maybe doesn't have that didn't have that experience growing
Hmm.
up. So yeah, I mean, I think the work ethic is like the biggest piece coming from both sides of my family, because they worked very hard to support their families, and likewise my parents did the same for me. So I hope I can instill that with my kid, give him some decent work ethic, so that he can handle whatever challenge he has coming in his life, including any health challenges he deals with.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, yeah, thank you for that. And even how you're describing the work ethic is how did you say it? Getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. Uh, yeah, that seems so applicable to so many different ways, so transferable to so many different environments versus if you're, I think in a lot of ways we're like a culture that likes comfort, right? And so,
Hmm.
and we might even limit where we take that uh getting comfortable being uncomfortable, like what again, siloing, kind of like, oh, I'll do that, with my business, but not in these other environments. So I appreciate you even bringing that to, um, oh yeah, that's helpful with my wife or with my son, or like these
Hmm.
new kind of challenges. because I know I've had narratives at different times where that if you're supposed to do something, it's going to be easy, right?
Hmm.
And then it's going to be easy right away, or you're just going to be good at it right away versus like, oh no, this is something that takes time. This is
Hmm.
something that takes work. So I appreciate that so much. It's really been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for all your insights and just time and energy. I appreciate you being here, Tyler.
I appreciate being on here, Elle. This was a lot of fun. So thank you for chatting with me.
Yeah, thank you so much to all the listeners. May you always see the blessing. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Lyle podcast. I hope to see you at the next one. You can make sure that that happens by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. If you're new to the podcast, go ahead and listen to past guests. There's really just a wealth of knowledge there. This is a passion of mine to help you live your healthiest life, and to do that together in community. Contributions would make this work so much more easy, and you can do that via the link in the show notes or the website through Ko-fi, and the website is www.theellebetrell.com. You can join the newsletter, the Lyle newsletter, via the website and show notes. There's also opportunities if Instagram is your thing. I'm on there on occasion, and you'll look for the Lyle community, and Lyle is Lyhl. If you want to see the video of this, if you're not already there, you want to go over to YouTube and you'll look for the Elle Botrell, and you'll be able to watch videos from there. Merchandise options to help share that positivity, helping others to live their healthiest life. And you can find that via the website or emailing me at info@theellebetrell.com. Thanks so much, and may you always see the blessing.